Okay, so we are live on YouTube as well. So as before, um, yeah, the camera is not. Oh, you can't full screen it. Okay, um, I'll try something else on Discord. Anyways, for everyone, this is the part 2, which I started a couple of hours before. We will be going over a couple more reels. I probably will not get through all of them tonight, but I'll try to go through most of them. So just one quick setting I'll be changing on Discord is instead of sharing my camera, but I think I can still share my screen if I'm not mistaken. Just get this here, screen 1, better text readability, yes, screen 1. Okay, I hope this is better because I'm streaming now my screen. Just let me know if that works out better for Discord. Much better. Okay, I should have done this before then. Okay, the rest is all the same. The only difference is now that you will not see my face, but who cares, right? That doesn't matter too much. So I still got the chat of Discord and YouTube in my viewer. Enable this. All right, I think now we finally good to go. So is Damien Cortez in the chat is the first question I'm asking. He is a texture and look dev artist. Well, maybe before you get into it, again, my name is Arvid Schneider. I've been working in the visual effects industry for quite some time, mainly in the lighting department, but I did my fair share of look dev as well on shows. And today, I thought it's a good time to do just portfolio reviews, to share my experience, my point of view of things, and maybe a disclaimer. A disclaimer that everything I'm saying is based on my personal experience, and I will be harsh. I will criticize what I see, and no one should get offended by any of this. Previously, I got comments that we are way too harsh in giving feedback, and it's not motivating or whatever, right? So one thing I want to just say is that this is the feedback you would get in the real life. This is the feedback you will get when you sit in dailies with your supervisor, right? It's not to be mean. It's just showing you, what needs to be done or what can be done to make things better. It's just important for me to just say it up front because, yeah, I had big discussions on previous videos about this, and yeah, whatever. So I just wanted to say, so whenever I do these stages on Discord, everyone will get, also is supposed to get notified. So I don't want to ping now everyone again because I do think everyone got notified. So let's just get started, and whenever people can just review it on their own time. All right, so as I said, texturing look dev real. I'm using RV, which is an industry tool which is used with ShotGrid, Shotgun. Okay, awesome. So what we're looking at here is an asset turntable of a Polaroid camera, which is pretty good, pretty detailed. I think there's a couple of things just going through the turntable is that there are some resolutions which could be just done a little bit better. It feels a little bit low res in certain areas. Modeling wise, it's good. I don't see too much of a issue, but then again, I'm not a modeler. And then we do have a full CG. I'm not sure if it's fully modeled or if it's it is actually modeled. At least the tree is, or it could just be some scan asset, but it's good to see the wireframe, honestly. CG and matte painting. So I guess the foreground and background is matte painting. Yes. This is probably a little bit low in quality compared to the rest. So I'm not sure if I would have this in here if it's for texturing, because like texturing wise, it's not that good compared to the other in here. What's going on? Sometimes RV is just a little bit slow. So let's go back here quickly. Like when I see the high detail noise on the plastic, I can kind of, this is always a good indication. If you see a material like this and you can kind of sense how it would feel like if you would touch it, right? It's always a good indication that the look dev is working well. For the foreground here, I think whatever map was being used here is just not holding up. It just feels a little bit too low res. Like look at the detail on this high frequency one, and then compare like the scratch and bump details on this. It's just way too low res. This needs to be up res a lot. The fingerprints also don't really make sense at this place. Like the placement is probably okay because you would touch it, but fingerprints would not change the surface of a surface that is this rough with these bumps, right? It will not break the specularity that much, right? If you know what I mean. It would work probably on flat surfaces, which we have here on the side. Probably here, this would be a good placement to do fingerprints because that would, you would see them a lot. But something like this is probably a bit too much. One thing I noticed, he's using a studio environment, HDRI, which is rotated. And then he's also using a, let me just get here, do not disturb mode. And then I get, there's a fill light from the front, like this box, this white area light. And because it's visible in the reflections, I'd have to say it just doesn't work. Like you don't, like, why is this light not textured, right? It will not do much to the overall effect of the illumination side, but it will break the real life look to it because this is just a white box being reflected. You know, just put a texture. Like you should anyways use textured lights wherever you can because they have a way softer, realistic fall off. Plus there was a question here on Discord what look dev is, and it's technically authoring shaders. Like to make something look like this, you need to do shader work. So you create your shaders, your shading networks, your wires into the main shader, and the aspect of loading in a texture like this into your nodes and then doing color corrections, grading, range adjustments, masking, all of this feeds into your main final shader, which then creates this plastic surface. And look dev is this whole process of making textures work to give you the look you are after. That's essentially what look dev is. It's also called surfacing, and if you're coming from animation, does making shaders for games also? Yeah. It's also look development. You're developing the look of an asset. That's more or less what it means. I don't have too much to say about this. I think the texture being used or the shaders being used on the bark really works, especially coming from the low res geo. And overall, the lighting, it feels very nice. I don't have too much to say about it. The only probably criticism would be the backdrop here is just out of scale. It doesn't fit really. It makes it look very macro because you can see these big grass things in here, which is a little bit bizarre. But just judging the CG, looks pretty good. I got not much to say about this. The next up is this, and it feels to me like the strong is at the first, the best is at the best piece is at the beginning, and then it gets a little bit less good towards the end. This is a matte painting and CG combination. Yeah, I'm not sure what the bird is doing here. It's a little bit out of place, I think. It doesn't add much to it. In terms of lighting and shading, I think it's just a little bit too simple. Like everything looks a little bit just bashed on. Like the tree bark. There's no scaling. There's no cracks in it. It feels like just an albedo on this brown geometry, essentially, on this shape geometry. I'm missing displacement. I'm missing specular highlights, breakups, all of this. And just picking this up, I would probably not have this in my reel. It's a little bit removing the quality of the rest, and this especially, I talked about this already. The first two are good, and then I'll probably do another project just to spice up the reel. Well, anyways, thanks for your submission, Damien. It's great. Just try to improve the last two pieces, or do a different project, and then replace it with the new ones. Another question: does making shaders for game? Also, I replied to that. Yes, sorry, it's the same. Is Herbert Korn Agudera in here? Anywhere? Probably not. We just got 5 in the audience, anyways. That's the thing. If I do streams this late, everyone on the West Coast, and Europe time zones essentially is sleeping. But I'll just go over. They can watch it later. All right, lighting and comm. This is something I should be able to judge quite well. So TV advertisement. He did shading, lighting, rendering, and pre-comp. Character animation, getting the breakdown passes. Lots of subsurface scattering I see already. Oh, I like these stylized 2D things. Short film. By the way, I haven't watched them yet, so it's the first time I'm having eyes on these guys as well. It's a little bit cut off there. Very cool style on this person project. Too glossy table, that's the first thing I noticed. TV ad. Set was the chain line pre-comp. Doing a lot of work. Some juice commercial, I'm guessing. Oh, the simulation is a little bit off. And yeah, the tiger is also a little bit not fitting into this reel. All right, let's get through it. Sir, can you please give me a short review on my portfolio? That's a question on YouTube. It had to be uploaded because I'm going through my previously uploaded files. So if you haven't uploaded, then I probably will not go through your reel. All right, let's check it out. We're watching on YouTube. I think you should have better FPS. I think maybe I can change it. Let me check if I can change it on Discord. Stream. Oh, I can actually choose it to 30 FPS. Let's see. Let me know if this is better. It's now 30 FPS. So shading, lighting, rendering. Shading, lighting, rendering. I've got some light there from the base of the fire. It's very red, like the internal is very red, but the light that is coming out is very yellow, so it must be a texture in there or something. Much better. Good, awesome. You see, I'm learning while doing this as well. I think we could. The lighting feels a little bit. I'm just looking at the chef here. It looks a little bit too simple again. I keep saying that, but to me it feels like there is obviously the rim and the fill. You can see the rim here, the orange lighting, which is cool, which kind of lifts him from the background. But I get where he's coming from, that it's kind of from the fire, but I don't know, it feels not it feels not roomy enough, I think. And also the front is too filled. Comparing it to, there's no other light source. Similar to my paint over before, I would most probably darken things down a lot. Let me just try different brushes here. Yeah, that's a better brush. Let's go a little bit more intense. I did that before because if you have the front, the essentially the fill side, the camera side darker, you can play a lot more with rims and make things a little bit more interesting. So you can see I darkened things down now. And if I now use my dodge tool, yes, less intense, maybe go a little bit on the yellow. We can really have this come to life if we just push these values a little bit more. It's probably still, I'm not sure, the dodge tool is not working in my favor right now. We can, like, you can get really nice shaping on the nose and on the chin. And even the fill light, you can, which is not really justified because there's no light source, but it's always good to just help to make round surfaces more round with adding fill lights. And if we go a frame back and forth, your eye get used to this look, I feel, already. So I think there can just be a little bit more contrast in the shot just to make things a little bit more interesting to look at. And then, yeah, the comp, the lighting, I think it's mainly the rest is, I think, fine. I think maybe the subsurface scattering is too much. You can probably see that this here is the diffuse pass, which to me looks way more realistic just looking at this AOV. And then all the glowy stuff just is a bit much. So this looks great. Now imagine we will do the rims on this here. I think this will look a lot more believable, a lot more realistic. If that's, even animation can look realistic, right? So you can see the Pixar movies, they really go for realism these days. So just doing this already, to me, feels a lot more Pixar-esque than this glowy red head, if that makes sense. All right, let's go to next. Yeah, these ones, I don't have too much experience myself about these 2D shots or 2D stylized rendering. It's called, I think, NPR, probably non-photoreal rendering. And yeah, whatever. It's very moody. I like the lighting on these. I like the top down, like the strong hits from the top here that really get the cheekbones and the nose pumped. So that works really well. And obviously the characters are the main thing. So the backgrounds are faded. Yeah, it will be recorded. It will all go up on YouTube. Rendering and comp. Yeah, it's good. I think it's like the rendering and comp, maybe what I would do differently on this guy, because he kind of blends in to the background too much. Looking at the light from the right end, this, I think lighting wise, it should just be a little bit more. There should be a little bit more from the right. Just get the light from the window in his face. And that, I was saying that before as well, get light over dark and dark over light. You can see now if I just do the simple paint over on the character here, and we could probably add some yellow from that light too. So let's go 2. He really stands out a lot more. Obviously he's got the light from the left, which we can leave, but I think there needs to be more direction coming. And if you go back frame forward, you can see how much the character will just get into the eye of the viewer a lot more interestingly. So that's something I would pay attention to sell the story by lighting. You can see that the desk is lit a lot. There's a lot of light here, where my eye goes, but then I think this person here is also important. So should be something. And you could even use this light to get edges on this one as well. So there's lots of ways of doing things, but I think it's important to make everything a little bit more interesting. And then I noticed the texture of the hand. Hands are always difficult in CG, but this looks very simple in terms of shading. Maybe I would probably darken this a lot more. Where's my burn? Just don't have it in the face so much. There's no need to show the bad texturing shading work. This would be a lot nicer than like this fully illuminated hand, if that makes sense. So a couple of cheats you can do. You can also, add blockers or adjust the shader or whatever, or it could just be a comp thing. But there's lots of ways of adjusting things like that. This is great. I like the mood. Unfortunately, the second character seems like he's not getting the same treatment. Like the older person here walks into light, which is great, which really works so nice, I think, to bring him in the front. But again, lighting wise, there could be more done to the background guy. Right now, he kind of blends again in the background. I know I will do very similar paint overs because it seems like it's not very obvious how to make things look more interesting. And as I said, I'm just doing the simple stuff because there's this light source here. Why not let the light source hit whatever this thing is? Make this a little bit bigger here, and then his hair, and then this black suit, just to lift him from the background. And then you could technically go a little bit further and have it hit his bridge of the nose as well. Where's this diaphragm now? Where is it? I'm not sure where my painted frame was. There it is. There you go. What I was saying is, you could put some more light on his nose and maybe here on his cheekbones, just to exaggerate it a little bit, because I think he goes a little bit missing in the shot. But yeah, otherwise I like it. It's good stuff. Not too much to say about this. I think the overall mood is conveyed very well. That works good to me. Lighting is nice. We get the front lighting, which is very bright. I guess this is on the front lines with something of a war, probably World War I, where you can see the soldiers coming there and then whatever. It's good. Yeah, things I note. I'm not sure what's going on here. Is it changing so much? I'm not sure what's going on, why we have these two different versions. It seems like an occlusion pass has been added or something. Oh, is that all the AOVs then? Yeah, must be. But I feel this is a little bit less good than the rest. It feels a little bit simple in terms of shading, in terms of the textures being used, the models. It's all very basic, I would say. It's probably his own room by the looks of it. Like with these old desktop, these old personal computers, I had something very similar back in the day. But yeah, it feels overly simple, and it's probably not up to today's standard. So if this should not be in your reel if you want to apply as a texture artist or something like that. I think this is just way too basic. This is a cool shot, like the blue light, dark light, and similar to this. I was looking at the hey Arshid, thank you. I was looking at the orange juice sim. I think it's rather not have it be simmed like this and just have it be static than this. I think this is just a little bit cheesy that it's, drank so quick. It's a little bit off. But anyways, I think otherwise, set dressing, all of that works. The interest is obviously on the main character. But again, I think it's not the strongest piece in the reel, and you should try to get rid of the weaker pieces. And this especially the shot or whatever, I would just take it out. I think nothing works in this shot. There's weird depth of field here. This thing, the rock, is very ice looking. There's no details. And then the tiger is overlit. It looks like a color space issue as well. And it's very grainy. I'm sorry to say, but I would definitely take this one out for sure. And then we got the web ads from 2014, as it seems. I'm not sure, or is that just something else? I think lighting wise, it could be done a lot more, especially to direct the eye. Right now, everything is lit the same way. There's no clear direction where I should be looking at, right? Again, this is the strawberry is lit front on. This is front on. There's no lighting detail on here. It's just one flat surface from foreground to background. Yeah, that's all just too flat. I would definitely play with light direction. Have the light be angled from the side. Get some kicks on the tints. Have them go darker on the shadows here. I don't do links, unfortunately. You have to upload your reels to my Dropbox. Otherwise, I will definitely not look at them. And you can play with shadows, like add clouds here, right? Have some interesting gobos or something just to break up these areas, because it's just not looking interesting if it's all the same. You can add these finer details, these clouds or whatever, just some shadows. And as I said, you can shadow one side, the same with the strawberry. It can be shadowed. Don't be afraid to have things darker. There could be a stronger shadow on this thing. Darken this side, darken the hat. It's very important to shape things, otherwise it's not interesting to look at. And then you can get these hot edges, hot rims, whatever, to make it very more interesting. You can see, even though my paint job is not perfectly aligned to everything, but it's visually already more interesting to see the contrast on everything. All right, I think that's it. And we were looking at Herbert. So thank you very much for your submission. And let's hop on to the next. We have Robert Coutts. Is that you, Edge? Is that you? He's saying yo. I'm not sure if it's you. It is you. Okay, awesome. Thanks for being so patient and obviously waiting. Let's just have a play and I drink some water. Oh, dang. Yeah, I saw this already. I think this is kind of Dune inspired, isn't it? Looks nice. Houdini hide fields, love those. Yeah, lots of breakups, good. Man, you spend so much detail in the floor. It's good. That's really what makes things pop. Space shots. So you're working in production, I guess, right? Or is that all personal here? All personal. So you're not working in the industry yet? Okay, well, you definitely will land a job with this reel. Trust me, it's good. And it's, what was it, FX reel, right? Or you're working as an FX CD, is that the plan? FX Live, oh, FX Live, okay, there it is. Your goal is being an FX CD. It's a good trade to no lighting as well, because in lots of companies, an FX artist will light their own shots because it's always a little bit of pipeline-ish. So they do lots of their own lighting for volumes and all of that. All right, let's have a look at the first shot. There's a couple of things which are really well done and which look very photographic. And the first thing which stands out to me is the motorcycle. It feels very real. I'm not sure exactly if it's your compositing, or if it's the slow motion. But it just works. And yeah, then obviously the motion, let me just try in and outs here because I want to look at this a little bit more. Okay, up till here. Now this should play in the loop. It's really hard to, like, I have a couple of things to say about shading, which is mainly on the helicopter. I feel like there's a, I'm not, again, I probably think there's a lack of motion blur on the rotor. I'm not sure if the speed is accurate, and you would, normally you would see the glitching of the captured camera, that it cannot, you know, capture the speed of the rotor blades. So that's something just probably a comp gig or something would do. All right, let's have a quick look. I think what is a little bit off-putting for me is just this element here, the glass window. I'm not sure if this is an actual reference of a helicopter or if it's just a sci-fi version. Because I would expect it to have some metal frames in here, which are a little bit like not one rounded glass piece, but several flat glass pieces on a metal frame. And yeah, I think, yeah, this is a little bit unfortunate because the rest looks very good, the model. It's a made-up design. Okay. And maybe it's also just the angle, which is a little bit off to me, but yeah. I like what you did with the rotors, that is cutting through the sand volume and dragging it along. It's probably a little bit too little, I think. Let me just play it back. And there would probably be more, there should probably be more turbulence from the wind. No, I think there should be more from the rotors pushing the wind away. Karma XPU, yeah. And I'm not sure what the ground is. Is that sand? If it's sand or whatever, actually it doesn't matter what it is. But the motorcycle is kind of doing like this spin. I would expect to see a lot more kick-ups from this rotation. You know, maybe a couple of rocks and something just flying off to the side. I think that would help the shot, because it's just a little bit, there's no kick-ups, if you know what I mean. So there should be dirt kicking up here, and then when it's on the next rotation, I see there's a little, maybe there's a little of it, but there should probably be more. All right, let's just what is the hotkey again? Is it just backticks? Okay. Yeah, that's your, and yeah, it's maybe a little bit low res as well, but I guess it's a little bit hard to judge. The shot is great though, don't get me wrong. The placement of camera, the motion, it works well. Oh yeah, you see you did a little bike dust. But yeah, I think there should be more coming off this side as well. The dust is cool, but there should be sand the other side. Height fields, that's for the ground. It's a nice touch. I need to look at height fields more. I was just doing this for big scale stuff, but it's great to see you can blend them and use them for very small scale stuff as well. Got your, yeah, exactly. These rocks that you scatter, they could be kicked up, a couple of them, at least for a future project. Comp is nice. What I always do in compositing, which I think you did not do, is doing lens distortion. If something is captured through a lens, which pretty much everything is if you see it on TV screen, there's always distortioning happening on the edges of the lens. It just adds a little bit photographic to the shot because this is very straight, and typically you would see it then bending or going maybe up in some direction. Just a little comp touch up. You've got a really nice eye for lighting, I feel. I don't have to sort of, yeah, I think there is, and either it's render noise or there is grain on here. I think there is grain. Yeah, I think there's grain on it. I think I would always add grain, to be quite honest, on every CG. It just also helps to get a little bit rid of render noise if you add grain. Yeah, it's good. I'm not sure what is that a. Can we see through it, or is it just? I'm not sure what I'm seeing here. In the visor, is it just a reflection, or is there actually a face that I'm not really seeing? Not sure. Just reflection. Okay. It's probably smarter, because then you would have to have a face in here, which I probably would say, oh, that doesn't work so well. A little bit of sliding on the grips, but I guess this work. It's all believable. I think lighting wise, it's really lovely. I don't like the model, but I will not talk about this much. It just works, like pushing the debris out of the view, floating, having the floating pieces. You could probably play a little bit more with depth of field. I see it, you have it in the foreground, but there could probably be a little bit stronger defocus in the back. I like how the things hit. I like the lighting when it hits this and then bounces off. That's really cool. The light, yeah, it's yeah, good shot. You will definitely land a job with the things I've seen so far, for sure. Again, similar note, lens distortion. I would add lens distortion. It just makes it a little bit more believable, and you can probably do a little bit more depth phasing. You have something in the back, but like the blacks are sometimes a little bit too dark here. Like this, for instance, looking at this feels a little bit dark. Let's just gamma up a little. Yeah, you can see the grain. Yeah, but now we come to the little bit less successful ones, I think. Not in the shot itself is still good, but there's probably a little bit more to talk about this. Yeah, okay, I was talking about the character animation, which you didn't do. Feels a little bit robotic somehow. So I'm trying to understand the story here. So I guess he's obviously it's a prisoner, and through, that's what I'm guessing, and through his motion or whatever he's doing, rituals, he's kind of breaking out of the prison and is then in a virtual world. That's what I'm kind of hinting at, but I might be wrong here. A couple of things. I did my fair share of plants as well, not in a sense like what you did, but the plant itself can get a little bit more love, especially the foreground stuff. It doesn't hold up this close. You could probably play a lot, which you did in the other shot, play with the depth of field like you did on the wire here. Blur it out. That would probably help, and you probably would get some nice bokeh if this would be blurry. Also, I would add fiber to your plants. Have a look at plants with a microscope. They actually have lots of small fur everywhere. I think it would add something. Add these little fine white hairs, fibers on everything. They will also get nice reflections in the sunlight. Then it's probably a lot more effort, but it would help. You can see the water. It has all the nice floating bits in it. So yeah, it's the same on the rocks. I would love to see the dirt kind of stuck on the surfaces which have been touched by water, even on the rocks a little bit. You know, you did the effort to do something in the water. You could also just do something on the things which go through it. I'm looking at the glass shards. You got some nice diffraction going on. Now you have to tell me, the glass shards, are they supposed to be imagination? If yes, I'll probably won't say too much, but if they are supposed to be kind of in the scene, that they are just scaling away and disappearing is a little bit odd. They could also hit the water, create some motion in the water, because right now it feels like you're just scaling them outside of the view and then they just disappear to zero. Yeah, and the first shot is great. Lighting wise, it makes sense. It's good placement. I'm not sure if the lines here is comp and yeah, actually. I'm not sure if I...
Hey, Arvid.
Hey, hi.
Yeah,
cool.
thanks so much for the feedback. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, the whole render is supposed to symbolize like inside of the guy's mind. Okay. So not even the prison is real. It's like a prison inside of his mind.
Okay.
But we could just treat it as if it was real in terms of the realism of the glass and everything.
Yeah, I think it would help a little if it would just be a little bit more integrated. But I get the idea, kind of that it's prison and he kind of breaks out of it, or thinks of something else and disappears in this world.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, as you heard me saying, there's not too much to say about this. It's pretty good.
Thanks.
Yeah. Is there something? Is that so? Oh, you still got something. Oh, that's the last one here. Let me have a look. Oh, again, all aspects. So how long have you been working on these 4 or 5 shots?
This one's probably about 1.5 years old.
Okay.
So about 1.5 years. All of them. And every single one of these shots is for a competition.
Okay, cool.
And each competition goes for a month. So every 6 months, I've just worked on one of these.
That's pretty cool. So it's a good way to push yourself to do these.
Oh, definitely.
See, you tagged your name in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this one. I like even the secondary animation you put here on the fire extinguisher. That works well. It's like these small details which really help to sell the shot. Lighting wise, it's great. Like, yeah, you can hear me saying it.
Thanks.
It's very good work. So it's all done. You do compositing in After Effects, I guess.
In Nuke.
Oh yeah, there's Nuke actually. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't see that.
After Effects was just for like the screens at the end.
Oh, okay, to track things in. Yeah. Oh, these screens. Oh, okay.
Oh no, I mean like in the racing one on the right, like the little GPS thing, and yeah.
This okay. Yeah, pretty rad. So I think probably you should specify what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like do an effects reel, do a lighting reel, do a gen reel.
Yeah.
And then obviously this is a generalist reel because you did everything, which is awesome. So you could totally use it, get rid of these 2 things.
Okay, cool.
Just do a generalist reel. Or if you want to do an effects reel, show a little bit of the effects things a little bit more. I mean, like maybe a couple more technical things, breakdowns. Like this stuff is good with this. This is cool to see. But it's lacking in the other shots. Yeah,
definitely.
All right, cool. I'm heading on to the next. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Arvid. I really appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, awesome. Cool.
Cheers.
Talk to you soon. Bye. All right, then we have the next submission. Oh, that's a tough name. Vyacheslav Kolomatsky. Sorry for that. Slovak. That's better. Slovak. VFX. All right, so let's have a look. It's me, the thing. All right. Slava. Yeah, that's better. Thanks. What does RT mean? What is this? Is that full CG? Let's see. Okay, it's real footage. And you place the tanks. Okay. It's a cool shot. Okay, but you added the tank in there. Yeah, you got occlusion there going. Okay. Okay, let's have a look. I think the effects, let's see, is a little bit low in quality. Let's have a look at this. Is this where we don't see the guy firing, or do we see that? Oh, there it is. The RPG. Okay. Okay, what I'm noticing is I think you don't have the collision objects in your simulation. If that's like, you don't have these objects in here. Feels they would be needed to, you can see it feels like it's very uniform and you just put it on top. And let's look at the breakdown of the effects quick. And yeah, your disturbance fields that you use to break it up feels very strong, in my opinion. Like the noise and the volume is too high frequency. And maybe it dissipates also way too quick. Yeah, it dissipates way too fast. You can see how long it lingers in the reference. Lingers. It's a lot more. Yeah, and then I thought about when I was looking at about on the shot, you've got this perfectly shaped source, this one here, you know, and from frame to frame, it just kind of stays the same way, where in the reference, you can see obviously it has already a base shape, but then it distorts completely already, and it gets really a different shape every frame, you know, and yours is, it's kind of too stationary. I would love to see, you know, these spikes and then the morphing of the shape, and then it has more these bigger, like just looking at the same scale, right? Your scale, it's, let's say the tank is the same size. You've got these very small high frequency things, which you don't really see in the reference. You see these bigger chunks. And if you present reference like this, people will go really hard on you just looking at the reference and comparing it to the CG. So that's just what I'm doing, and I think it's a little bit off. You should try to spend some time to shape the source, like at least the first 10 frames, and then you can have the sim to direct it. But in the beginning, it's a little bit, it needs a little bit more work on it, I think. And in terms of the integration, I think it's a little bit too lit. It feels a little bit too flat, maybe is the better word. It's not too lit. It just, it also has this dark, so like this, like it feels like it has this dark shadow outline around it. Maybe you have an alpha problem in your compositing. I don't know, it's a little bit hard to judge. It's cool what you did on the lighting, that it illuminates a scene. That is nice. I'm not sure if this is just done on a still frame though. Or is it actually, did you actually try to model this geo, or is that like a 2D thing? Ah, it's okay. It's a simple drop shadow effect. So then, just thanks for saying that. Then I would really try to render an actual shadow pass. Try to model, not in the highest detail, but in some kind of detail, this area. Maybe, add some debris pieces here, have the road in the middle, and then do an actual shadow pass of the vehicle, and then use that instead. What you can do quite easily, because you do have the clean plate, right? Because you're adding the tank to it. Where's the first frame? Well, I don't know. But what you can do, you can obviously, as I said, you model this, and then you reproject this image onto your CG ground to get the right bounce off onto the vehicle, to the tank. And you can also use this as a bump or a simple displacement to just push the surface up to get nicer shadow fall-offs. That's really a couple of things I would add to it. And the explosion, again, I would probably spend a little bit more time in, especially if this is supposed to be some kind of more effectsy reel. I would, because of this is a pretty strong impact, there should be debris pieces flying, not just the smoke from the impact, but there should be these smaller pieces. They should, fly away because of this explosion. But yeah, that's probably all I gotta say. Otherwise, it's a cool shot. You can probably do a little bit more to it to make this even more interesting. All right. I think that was it for you, right? People mentioned debris. Oh, there's another submission. You did 2 movies? Okay. Okay, you got 2. 3 maybe even. All right. So you like your war stuff, looks like it. Max, all right. And then that's a second shot, I guess, from games, okay. And then is that, okay, that's it then. All right, let's have a look. I'm not even sure what game it is. You can tell me. It looks like Jarhead from the movie. So one thing I can tell you already, first shot, what's actually doing this wobbling? It's because of the distance you look at, and then because of the heat from the ground, it distorts the air, and it kind of creates these the heat hazing is what it's called, right? And you only see it on a vast distance, like a reflection, but you have it here in the foreground, which does not make sense. So I would totally get rid of this heat hazing in the foreground. It's just completely throwing me off here. It should only live in the distance, so probably the reflection is good. The reflection is realistic, but not the foreground heat hazing. The shot itself, otherwise, is pretty good. It's maybe a little bit too out of focus for my taste, a little bit too much. Yeah, otherwise it's cool. This is obviously a POV from the tank. Yeah, that's a really cool, really nice looking shot. I think the tank animation is probably too linear. This one is kind of cool. But to me, it feels like they just go straight. And the ground is definitely not straight. The ground is doing this, right? So I would expect the motion of the tank to be a little bit more up and down. It feels like it's going in a straight line, like all of them are, pretty much. The one on the left is dipping a little bit in here and then going back over. but there should be like finer motion to them. And they all go at the same speed, which is probably okay, but I think having one be a little bit slower just adds a little bit more perspective. I like the shadow going over. It's like a nice touch from the helicopter onto the tanks here. It's good. Yeah, otherwise, lighting-wise, it's nice. Good depth. Texture work is good too. Maybe these ones are a little bit what's the word? Uninspired. There's no real... I couldn't think of a way why they would be scratched like this. But what do I know? I never have been to war, so I probably don't know. But I probably would add more dust because they're going through the desert a lot. There would probably be way more dust collected in the ridges and everything. A lot more than what you have already. Lots of build-up and all of that. I don't think it's unrealistic, really, because the camera would expose to the brightness. It's hazy, it's muddy, and you know there's lots of dust in the air. That's why it's hazed up so much. I don't think it's... Now that you're pointing it out, let me look at it. But you think it should be a little bit hotter? But again, the camera we're looking through, it will automatically expose to the sun. You could probably add a bit more glaring and comp like a little bit of a reflection glow on things. But yeah, it's okay. I like it. Breakdown, okay, just mirrored that. That's a cheap way of doing it. It's not realistic to mirror it like this in 2D. I would actually render it flipped. Yeah, get rid of the close displacements you did here. The back displacement is good. I'll probably... Yeah, just checking if we can add a little bit more contrast maybe. Displacement on the ground is epic. Good details. Love it. Good job. Nicely tracks in there. Really good work for the generalist side, like the environments. I like it. Yeah, that's what I mean. The scratches may be a bit much. Obviously, yes, they are battle worn, but it's possibly a bit much. Battlefield. I used to play Battlefield. It's nice. Cool rig. So you did the rig as well. Really cool. Yeah, this one... Oh, it's probably what you said. It's based on a game, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like incomplete. It feels definitely not the same quality as the others. Like all of this is just gray render. Oh, it's the intro. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, well, that's something I didn't pick up on. But if I would judge it just based on what I'm seeing on here, it feels incomplete for sure. I would not have this in my reel because of all the good stuff you have in here, and then you go to the end of this and then you have this grayscale render. I would probably try to texture it to make it way more interesting. You know, you can add way more details. You know, add light fixtures here, and you have these lights here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the second, like the last one. I think it just needs more work. But yeah. Breakdown. All right, I think that's it, huh? Thank you for your submission. Night Owl by Brooke. All right. So next up, we do have... Yeah, for sure. We have Lennart Hase. Sounds German to me, but I might be wrong. If you're here, do let us know. What's going on? Featured on reality capture. I don't even know what that is. It's probably a tool to capture motion. All right, that's just oh, what is this? It's not the best way to show this as Rendered and Arnold. All the noise. Oh my god, that's terrible. This is cool though. Cubes. Glow. It's nice. A lot of copy to points. Lots of small detail. Some Houdini magic. Fractured crystals. Oh, that's cool. It's like texture. And then just some curl noises. Also cool. What is that? Touch Designer and GLSL. I guess this is just shader code here, huh? I don't know what I'm looking at, honestly. Is it just procedural shaders, I guess? It's cool, but it's way out of my expertise here. It looks cool, but I'm not sure what I'm looking at. Real-time audio reactive particles. I guess they move to the beat. Let me see if I can play that. Yeah, they do move to the beat. It's cool, but I probably can't give notes on this. But let's go to the beginning of this here. So that's Unreal Engine. You know, that's always what I don't like about real time. It has always these artifacts. Like, is that an occlusion left over? What is going on here? And I keep seeing this a lot in Unreal work. Also, the motion blur is also always really messed up. You can, like, what is all of this weird stuff going around the person like a halo? Obviously, it's a technical thing, nothing to do with the real here. It's cool with the light. It's very harsh. Like, I would expect, like, being this hazy in the background, I would expect the shadows to be way softer than this. Feels very harsh. Lots of depth of field. Someone's running, doing some parkour running. I first thought this is like blood or something, but it's his eyebrow. It's cool what you can do in real time, but it just looks so. It doesn't look nice, unfortunately. Also, there's no dilation of the pupil, which is something I would totally pick up on. I mean, pupil is fine here, but getting a light like this, the pupil should just be a dot at this point in time. They dilate pretty quick. And then, where's the light now, right? I know it kind of goes away, but on the cut, it didn't go away. So it's not gone here, and we cut to the right next shot. I would expect this light to still be on his face and see the beam here. That would be nice if that would be like a continuity, which it's not. And then it's back again. Being this overgrown, where you have little bushes and stuff, there would be a lot more growth, like ivy. I would love to see ivy going, like hanging down here. Just like if there's stuff this grown, as I said, there should be something just to add more detail to it. Otherwise, the mood is cool. I don't know, the animation just stops here, so it does this move, then freezes, which is a little bit odd. It's very moody. And is that supposed to be some growth stuff? Some jelly? Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah, it's unfortunately why is this so noisy? I thought Unreal is it doesn't have these typical render noise like you would get in offline rendering. I'm not sure where it's coming from. This is cool. I like this attribute transfer from liquid to an object and then it kind of fades away. It's cool. This, I'm not sure. This doesn't add anything to this reel. I would totally take this one out. All of these crystals, they don't work, unfortunately. This is great. Nice dynamics, nice lighting, nice shading, nice comp work. And these ones are cool too. I like the idea of the lighting all going over it, just to make it more interesting. And then these ones, probably I would take them out. They're blurry. There's no texture detail, just very soft. And chromatic aberration going crazy up here. I would totally take it out. This one is cool. I would take these crystals out. And this one is cool again. I can live with the noise in a depth of field. I get it's tricky to clean it up. And the result is nice. It's a cool thing. And again, this one to me, it's like this, man, just this lens flare. It's just Photoshop 101. It's like this default lens flare in Photoshop, which just has been bumped on here. Hey Jared, hey, thanks for your ping there. I'm doing great, thank you. Yeah, so I would also take this whole 2D image out. It just doesn't add anything to it. And then about all of this, I don't know really what I'm looking at. I'm obviously some simulation, but I just cannot judge it. It looks cool, but I'm not sure if this is very good or technical or whatever. So thanks, Leonard, for your submission. So let's hop to the next. Next up, we have Annika Reichmann. Probably also Pixel Vision, because they also have dragons and tigers or whatever. Animation, it's probably a friend of Lisa's. Doing both animation, both German, both dragons, both tigers or cats. Walk cycles. Again, I'm not an animator, so I just base it off that. I did work on Jurassic for two movies. Fallen Kingdom and one more. So I did my fair share of dinosaurs. So let's see about that. Let's go first shot. LinkedIn. It's good to always get an introduction. Animation. Yeah, I'm already looking at things we discussed in dailies when I was working on these shots. Obviously, not the same shots, but shots like this where, because these creatures don't have much movement, like facial expressions, right? It's just mouth pretty much open, close. What I'm missing, what we talked about a lot when I worked on these, is flaring of the nostrils to visualize their breathing. That would be interesting. And then this section here of the face is essentially where the air goes through, and it's like the nose still going behind the scenes, behind the flesh here. And when they breathe or when they make sounds, this kind of flatters, like there's like motion in it. So that's something I looked for, but I didn't see anything. I think that would add a lot. Same here. When the big one is walking up, it would be nice to see some animation of the nostrils like flaring open, just getting some details there. Let's look at the weighting, because these dinosaurs, especially the Rex here, T-Rex, they are very big and very heavy. So obviously there's a lot of camera shake on it, which it's a little bit tough to see the walk cycle. It feels weighty, but there's a little bit, there's a little bit less inertia or, delay. There's like this, it should walk and like it should delay a little. It's hard to put words to it, but I think there could be more weight. And then obviously secondary animation. When these big things, like if you look at maybe rhinoceros or elephants, when they walk with one big step, there's a lot of jiggling. Like the neck should jiggle, the skin should kind of go up and down, slide over the bones. All of this is not really there. But again, it's just animation and it's not effects like sim stuff. So that's probably why I don't see it here. Yeah, this is one perfect example where I was saying the nostrils should totally flare open here, open the nostrils, and then get this jiggly stuff moving. The tongue should move. The tongue is not moving. The tongue should be, flapping pretty much. There should be, that's probably not her job, that would be effects, but there should be some saliva going. Everything should move, and probably the small guy should react to the scream and not just open its mouth, I guess. Dragon stuff. It's a good run cycle. I like it. Yeah, lots of, you see all the nice secondary motion on the neck structure here. All of this is pretty nice. Works well. Let's see if we get the same fluttering. The tongue is a job of effects, then does it need to be rigged? I don't think the tongue is effects. The tongue is still probably anim, but I meant the saliva is effects. And the skin moving over the bones is probably also effect simulation. Is there a similar gliding shot? It's just flapping, right? I think it's the motion is too linear. Obviously, again, this dragon is super heavy, right? I don't know the weight, but I just say very heavy. So whenever the wings go up like this, the dragon should sack down, like it should drop because it's so heavy. There's no upwards pull because the arms go up, everything falls down, right? So it should sack down way more than this. It feels still very static. And then when the arms push down, the wings push down, it should lift because of the upwards motion, the air resistance lifting the body up. So I think that could be done a little bit better. Run cycles looks believable to me. Yeah, I think for presentation walk cycles, the camera should be pretty much static. Like going around during a walk cycle is hard to judge the walk cycle. Oh, there's actually some jiggliness going on here. So she has control over this. You can see that the skin here is moving up and down when it's walking a little bit. So if that's doable, then I would definitely make this stuff jiggle, the skin jiggle more, animate the nostrils, add a little bit more secondary details to this. I think that would add a lot. Obviously, basing the animation off an animatronic, I'm not sure if that is a good idea. I would use real life references of similar creatures to kind of do this, because I know that for this Jurassic movie, this is fully animatronic and the motion is very static. But yeah. All right. Oh yeah, you see there's Lisa's name. So they definitely know each other. All right, next up, Mark Reuter. What do we have? Environment, shading, lighting, look dev. Also a German person, German guy. Is he in the chat? Maybe, could be. What time do we have in Germany? 8:20, so maybe. All right, Film Academy. It's definitely student real. Environment, modeling, and texturing. Oh, nice detail. Feels overlit. I'm saying this because this value, the third from the right, in the grayscale section of the Macbeth chart should return 18%. Like obviously now what I'm doing is stupid because it's not an EXR and it's an MP4. But already I can see that this is way too bright. It's 0.6. It should be around 0.4, I think, if it's properly exposed. So just saying this, I would make sure when you do look dev, make sure that everything is exposed properly. I think this is the right exposure, more or less. So it's way too bright. And then your textures will be off, your shaders will be off if everything else is too bright in the first place. But the detail is good. It's a scan, obviously, and then texture retouching, which works well. Doesn't work well, unfortunately, here. Is that because of the lighting? Maybe, I don't know. It's very soft, right? Isn't it? Where's all the detail we had in the turntable? You know, it's super nice and crunchy. All the details here, very detailed. First time here. Fully from whom? So someone asking on YouTube is asking, what is this? What am I doing here? And I shared a link a couple of days ago to upload your show reels. And then I would give reviews about them. So yeah, as I was saying, this feels way too smooth. Like, where's the nice jagged edges? It feels like it has been sanded down or something. So yeah, this piece doesn't work so well in shot somehow. CG railing. Which one is the CG railing? It's just this guy here, I guess. Hey, he's here. Marcus here. So I guess this is the CG railing, which you added. Yes. Okay. I think it feels a little bit, again, there's a reference. I don't know where it's coming from. But it feels like it's just a square tube. And then obviously it's bent. I'm not sure. I haven't ever seen a square tube. Like normally railings are more like this, you know, and they're just not square. So I think maybe there could be a little bit more details on the railing itself or something. But yeah, it's for now it's a square tubing. It's cool. But yeah, about the rock, is that just plate? Looks like it, huh? So why the work on scanning this? Are you saying that this piece is from the set, which is this piece? Exactly the same piece? Yes, yeah. Okay, Mark is saying yes. I find it surprising that it looks so different in shot here, with the shot lighting. But yeah, anyways. All good, let's keep going. So all aspects, Sci-Fi City. I love these projects. First thing I'm noticing is the rain is a little bit off, I think. Feels a little bit, is it 2D rain? You did that after, right? It's not rendered rain. because there's no rain. That's a full CG, and then is comp glow. Comp glow is nice. Virtual production, okay. Nuke rain, okay. I think the rain works nice here, but then it gets these weird pings here and here and here, and it's too scattered. Like it's not really dense rain. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I think I've seen this shot somewhere as well. Maybe it was at Pixel, at not Pixel, but at your schools. I like the rest though. I like the depth phasing. I like the detail. I like the glows. The building lights work well. Probably they could get some color variation. They all have the same lights in them. Maybe it's just a texture that you have. I don't know. But there could be, some could be a little bit warmer. Some could be a little bit cooler. Which should just add some visual interest. Lighting wise, is that plate or is that full CG here? Like the foreground? Full CG, okay. Then I would try to, I know the idea is to make him silhouetted or that person. I would probably add just a little bit more highlights around him, just to make it a little bit more interesting, you know? Because there's a pretty strong light source from down from the city. So you could kind of play it like it's kind of hitting his face a little. Doesn't have to be on the prop or anything, but just maybe lift him up a little from the BG. I think that's all I would do. Yeah, you've got some detail on him. Obviously, you graded him down. You could also just do a normal and comp trick or something to play with that. Gonk. I know where the gonk is being used. Doesn't matter. So it's probably 2D dust motes and comp. CG, compass. I feel there's distortion. Nuke particle, yeah. Oh, here's a gonk. Yeah, the shot is good, I think. It could probably get a little bit more breakup in these lines. They're probably a little bit too straight. Like you could simulate potentially a little bit of a noise pattern, very subtle noise pattern going through it, because you have all the dust modes. Maybe there's a little bit more detail to get out of this. And it feels like there's no really sharp, it still feels very blurry to me. I'm not sure if your depth of field is maybe off. Like it would be nice to see this a little bit more in sharper detail. And probably comp-wise, a little bit too strong chromatic aberration, if you ask me. And the lens distortion you added feels like it's just scaling, and I think it's distorting it like this angle, but usually it distorts like this. So straight lines on the edge would bend more like this, and it seems to me that the straight line is bending in the opposite direction. Have a look, maybe that's something you can quickly change. All right, gong turntable. Good details on him. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't see the detail in the shot, unfortunately. And maybe try to add some emission lights or just some lights, maybe some light bulbs here, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe it doesn't. Probably doesn't have it for real, but in the shot it would be nice to just see maybe a red light or something. And then jungle temple. Is that Unreal? Or is that normal scattering and Houdini or Maya, whatever? Virial Max? Okay. Oh, I like these guys. Similar note, I would probably give it a couple of other shots. I think it's just a single light source, the sun. But I would probably break it up a little. Oh, and another thing I probably have to say as well. Two things I have to say. One is have a play to break things up a little. Like all of the foreground here is pretty not flat lit. It's all kind of lit from this angle. But why don't you add shadows to it? Like, because you do have some clouds in the sky, as I can see. Just have a shadow, like it's quite easy to do. You just model something, a grid, or some squashed sphere, whatever. Place it closer to your light source, and this will cast a shadow and just shadow a couple of things. You don't have to go crazy, but maybe something is shadowed in this area, and then maybe this edge here is shadowed as well, just to get a little bit more interest in it. And then the other thing is your tree species. To me, it looks like it's just randomly scattered. This is actually better to see. So you have the palm trees. You've got these longer, thin ones, and then you got these bigger ones. And they seem to me to be scattered randomly. And in nature, it's not really random how things are scattered. They always come in clusters of things. So you would have a couple of palm trees here, then a couple of palm trees here, but you would not have palm trees, I think, scattered single palm trees everywhere like that. They will be more in areas and less in others. And similar to the other species, they should probably be, more cluster based. That's just my observation. I might be wrong, but that's just what I feel when I look at this. B1 battle droid. I think the B1 battle droid can get more love on just showing me the maps shows me exactly what I thought when looking at it. You don't have much spec breakup. Yes, you have your dirt and scratches, but you do not have breakup in a sense of different materials. The shoulders are a little bit different, and the gray things are a little bit different, but the paint is not different. They all have the same bump. Why? Just to make it visually more interesting. I get what you're doing here in terms of the roughness, right? It should be used, worn, it had some battles, but visually make it more interesting by having a different roughness here, right? So maybe this is just a different surface. It's still painted, but it could just be a little bit more specular. Right, and the eyes, what did you do? The eyes are a little bit rougher. I can see that in your roughness pass. But it just could be a more breakup of the general surface. Like all of this reflects the same way, and there's just a little bit too little details. I'm not talking about the albedo and the metalness. I think this is nice, like the leakage here, and then obviously the grime around the joints. It's all justified, all good. Probably I would add grime and stuff in here and these crevices. Just use an occlusion, right, as well to drive under the armpits. There's always lots of oil leakage. Here it's good. You know what I'm saying. I think you have a good starting point, but you can really push this a lot further, like especially breaking up these individual panels. Okay. They could be, I think, a little bit nicer. But yeah, it's cool. It's like, I love Star Wars, like this era of Star Wars. It's nice. First time using Maori. Yeah, it's good. City on Tatooine. The Razor Crest feels a little bit clumped in. Is that true, or is it to render it? It's rendered separately and Compton. Okay. Yeah, it feels a little bit separated from everything. I'm not sure why. like these things work well because they are depth haze the same way as the background. I know the Razor Crest is way closer to camera, but by this point, it should probably, it's probably still too close, right? It's probably this distance here, maybe. It's not quite here yet. I don't know, it feels a little bit not in the, especially in the beginning here. It's not really fitting. Maybe it's because there's no reflection changes on the ship. But yeah, I don't know. Anyways, let's talk about the foreground. I think the foreground mountains, if that's probably also all full CG, is pretty good. I really like the details of the mountain. I like that you have these sand dunes or whatever it is. And it's a little bit hard to read the scale of the foreground mountain. I think maybe that this silhouette here could just be more detailed. I like the detail here. You can see we got these bigger rocks breaking up the silhouette. I like that. I'm not seeing it as much here. It feels to me very smooth. This detail here is amazing. It's kind of what's a little bit less detail is this area. Because it's so close in frame and so big in frame, that's why I'm picking up on it. That's the only reason. And then, yeah, this is great. Like all the erosion, this stuff is working really well. And obviously the background is nice. The city's a similar note before. I know this is fully lit. It seems there's almost no clouds. Oh, was I stopped up all the time? Maybe I was. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably break it up a little. Similar as I said before. Maybe, just have maybe some areas, not a lot, but just darken some areas down slightly. Just get these patches, and then that would also make, because I worked on a couple of Star Wars shows on, which was it actually, Obi-Wan show, where they were also in a similar environment. And we had similar problems with the city. It was looking the same everywhere. Like everything was similar. So we ended up doing shadows, like cloud shadows on areas. And it helped so much. So that's something to consider for next things. It's just to, even though there's no cloud in the sky, you can still fake things and just add a little bit, break up here and there. But yeah, that brings us to the end. I think the reel itself is pretty good. I think though the strongest shot, I didn't pick up much on these because I don't think they're very strong. I think at least it's lacking detail. I think this is way more detailed. It looks way more interesting than the comp version, if you ask me. We're lacking, like a lot of detail is missing here, which you definitely have in the raw render. So maybe it's overly comped, if you ask me, potentially. What I wanted to say is I think your strongest shot is the last one. This one. And I would probably open my reel with this. Have this my reel opener. Then do a couple of the turntables and then go to the other shots. Oh yeah. Thanks for your submission. Appreciate it. Next up, we've got Loic Giron, I would guess. But didn't butcher it. Yeah, no worries, Mark. Environment and 3D generals. To me, it's the same. This is like one category to me most of the time. But let's see what we see. I like the introduction, like the this stuff is cool. Demo reel, yes, sure. And then we already get a glimpse of what's happening. All right. What is that? iRobot? What the hell? Okay, let's just play it. Graduation movie. Cookie. All environment. Accept effects. Question is, what is effects? Is that the grain simulation? Probably. Landscape study. That looks nice. Also, yeah, he's got a little shadows. I saw them. Cookie. I think I saw this movie already somewhere on social media. Man, that looks good. Good work. You see, this is such a cool breakup. If you're still around, this is something I meant with breaking up the your B1 robot. You can see it's still the same surface, but he's got different kind of reflections and details on it, which is cool. Cool looking shots. I love these macro lenses. It's nice. It's very similar to Piper. Probably lots of inspiration coming from Pixar's Piper movie here. All right, let's have a look. I'm sure I'm a little bit sad. Okay, now now I actually see what's actually. I thought it's a robot, but it's actually a bottle cap from Coke or something. In terms of modeling, I think it's way too flat. To me, it looks like this flat, where normally the proportions are more like this, and you get the ridges here. So I'm not sure if the height is correct, but doesn't matter much. It's definitely cool that the little crab is pulling it in. Actually sad to see because of all the pollution going on these days. Yeah, I don't have too much to say. I think this is very well done. All the details are good. Potentially yeah, okay. All right, I got something to say. Just looking at this here. It seems that the collider is way, way bigger than the Geo. You can see that this is the leg, and it's already pushing this much debris in front of it. And even here, something is here pushing the little rocks away. It's like as if there's something in front of it, like a force field. Maybe it's like an alien with a force field or something. But yeah, that's what I mean. I would probably work on the collider more to make this more believable. It's nice that it's moving things away, but it just the collision object driving the Houdini grains is just too big. Let me just check saturation here. Yeah, I think that would make it way more interesting, wouldn't it? Cranking up saturation and contrast a little. I think that helps the shot a lot. Feels a little bit, because normally they are very colorful, aren't they? Yeah. That's cool. Cool shot. Lovely details. Lovely attention to details on the fibers here. Again, I think it's a little bit too desaturated. Giving it a little bit more spice in the color really makes the shot work a lot better. And I'm not doing much. I'm just doing a little bit more saturation, like 10% more. Works to me. Feels a lot nicer. Big environment shot. Similar thing here. Oh, does he have shadows? There's a shadow, yeah. Similar thing. Again, for Mark probably. Is shadowing. There's one cloud shadow here, but we could see more shadows again, like a distance. Let's make the sizes a bit smaller. Shadows here, and maybe even shadowing these areas. This mountain could get a little bit darker just to add more visual interest, breaking things up. Otherwise, it's good in terms of the environment. The tree density is always the same. I don't have now a reference to the study. Normally, if it's a study, there's normally also a reference image attached. I don't think there is, though. And what I'm trying to get at is that the density feels to be the same everywhere. Here's some, is that a water, like a river reflection, or is that sand? Hard to say. But to me, the density here is everywhere the same. I don't think that is quite accurate. I would think there would be areas which are less dense, like sparser sections where you see ground, or maybe the higher we go up, maybe there's a little bit less, stuff like that would probably make it a bit more interesting. Otherwise, it's good. It's nice. It's an environment shot. Coquille, I've seen this on the rookies. Maybe that could be it. Flings out the snail. It's funny. Weird motion blur, isn't it? Or is there motion blur at all? Is it 2D motion blur? Yeah, it's probably 2D motion blur, like Nuke motion blur. You can already see that the background here is also, is it depth of field? Yeah, maybe it could also be that. Something is odd though. Maybe no motion blur and maybe just depth of field being wonky. Yeah, this is definitely depth of field, I agree. But then there's no motion blur rendered. Like this should be from here to here, that should just be a super streaky already. Anyways, it's still a cool looking shot. I think lighting wise, it could be better though. You can see the sun is right there, like front on in the face. I would probably have it be a little bit more side lit. Maybe, it's me taking out the pens out again, but having this side be darker. And then this side darker, probably this would be flat still, that would be flat, but having it fall off more, I don't know, it's maybe just me being biased, but I like to see things shaped. And if the sun is from the side or like 3/4, I can see that this piece is actually curved like this, which right now you don't really know. Like if I zoom in here, you don't know the real shape of this. It should be, rotated. It should be round. You can kind of see it on the shell, but it needs to be more exaggerated, if you ask me. All right, let's keep going. Again, saturation. Add more of this on the crab, and it will look a lot nicer. Seems like the grain, like the silver, works better in this shot. And then the turtle. Yeah, it's good work. I like it. It's just like a still image, I think. See, this is so nicely lit. It makes it so calm. I don't know, I always struggle to find the right words, but you can see it's like a 3/4 lighting. The lighting is coming from this angle. It kind of hits the face, hits the shell here on the side, and then this area is dark or darker, which is, I think, just helps sell it. If I gamma down, expose up a little, yeah, it's cool. I like it. Probably is a bit lacking of detail on the head, but it's so nice. Lots of detail in the look dev. Yeah, the collision works here a lot better at this shot. Yeah, the sun is probably too yellow in terms of the reflections. Again, I love the macro, love the comp work. But for me now, this is probably a little bit too saturated. That's better. Yeah, great work. Nice to see. Good demo reel. All right, I think then last up is Ismael Martinez, a Houdini FX reel. So let's get through this. Ooh, cool stuff. What's going on here? Some portals. Oh man, this is really dynamic. Flex interior, OLEDs, glow, lots of glow. Could be more pressure, more expansion. Ooh, I'm not sure about this one. Okay. I always know if there's like just a handful of shots that this person is still early on in his career, or it's the person's career. Because again, strongest shot first. I think this one, great opener, awesome work. And then this is good. And then this one already is, I say, okay. It's probably an older shot. And this one, it feels just not good. Sorry to say. It just like the distortion, the glowy eyes, the cheesy smoke going up. It's more like a motion graphic design reel or something like this section. So for an effects reel, I don't know, I would have taken this out. I like the ground destruction though. This is nice, but the look of it and I don't know, feels like the reels is only as strong as the as the pieces in it. So I would take it out, and then the reel would in general be stronger. So let's have a look at this. All aspects, I like that. I can judge look dev lighting and everything as well. All right, so what is weird? Just looking at the lighting, might just be the albedo, but the sun is very side lit. You can see it base of the building. It's essentially coming right from the side. It hits this building, but the intensity is, look how bright it is here. So it tells me that this building is very darkly in terms of albedo. And I think this is a little bit off. It should be brighter. This looks already, to me, better. More contrast and brighter. Go back to before. It's very muddy looking. You can see you get nice details here. It's really cool. Great detail on the explosion. Great effects work, honestly. The animation of the vehicle could be better for sure. It's a little bit, like I can see the curve here on the ground doing this. Could be more secondaries on it. But just looking at the effects, I like the bullet impacts. There probably could be stronger, up shots of dust when they hit on impact, because they are there. Are they too delayed? Maybe one frame delayed. It's great. I like it. I really like this. What I was saying on a different reel, if something is scraping over laterally like this with this speed, you would see a lot of stuff being kicked up here. And the car itself, right now it's very static. It would be wiggling a lot in this axis, you know, up and down, like doing this. But it looks like it's not doing that. So that's something I would look at for animation's sake. Explosion is lovely, even though it's out of focus. It still works, and all the internal detail, I like this. It's really nice. The bloom works good, good details. It's a bit noisy, but I can ignore that. Dust kickups. Yeah, this is a great shot. Lovely. It's nice. Even when the bullet impacts hit the camera and then cuts. It's well made. Really good stuff. Why is the wires on the pole on the mast here moving so much? It's a little bit weird. Okay, from the shockwave, yeah. They're also moving before the shockwave, so they should be static. Like there's these things I'm looking at, they are moving before anything happens. Now they move with the shockwave, which is good. I like that aspect. That's great. Even how it cracks is good. All right, awesome work. Good that you open with that because it is your strongest shot. And then this is the second. To me, this is probably a little bit overlit because it's like the highlights, everything is a little bit clampy. It's not a bad thing, but it's probably a little bit too much. Nice lens flaring. Everything shatters with a little shockwave. It's good. You can see the distortion of the shockwave. See this here, and then it progresses and goes through the shot. It's nice. And then I guess it's fractured, and then a little bit of velocity is pushing things outwards, and then gravity pulling everything upwards. It's a cool idea. I love the smoke being pushed to the side. I would probably argue that if there's wind that is pushing smoke and dust to the right, I would probably argue that the smaller pieces that are breaking off here, these pieces, they should always also get a subtle redirection of velocity, kind of pushing out and then, you know, pushing out and then going this way. I think that would be nice to see. Maybe it's happening. No, I don't think it is. No, I don't think it is happening. Yeah, lovely effects breakdowns. I don't want to go through them. It's great detail that you added. Probably is too strong glow. Lovely detail in the smoke here. Yeah, and let's go to this shot. The shading of the dragon is a little bit simple. The foreground rocks is okay. That works. Similar note I gave on a different reel is make sure to light your shots good as well. Stronger kick light from the key direction, like this should be a lot stronger, just to lift the dragon up from the background. And then I don't know, that was my first thought, is this area good and this area not so good. And what I mean by this is I think it should expand more, quicker, more heat, and then there should be more vertical heat going up because of temperature moving upwards. It feels very thin, like very small scale. And there's also no smoke being emitted. Maybe it's just fire, but typically when fuel is burned, whatever fuel the dragon has, there is combustion going on, and it creates smoke. Yeah, and I talked about this shot already. I would keep the dragon probably, spice up the fire sim. Like it feels like this is the first half year of exploring Houdini, and this feels like it's probably the second year or something. Like this explosion feels so good compared to the dragon's breath. All right, everyone who was here live. We're at the end of the submissions for tonight. So I want to thank everyone for submitting their work, first of all. And secondary to everyone who was active in the chat, talked a little bit. So I hope these kind of review sessions with me are informative, are helpful. In the end, they are my opinion based on my experience in the industry, and other people might have different opinions about Unreal. But yeah, hopefully that helped, and have a good start of the week, and be sure to join the Discord server. We have challenges and also review sessions and all of that. So thanks everyone, and have a nice day.